Good evening. Today we're going to talk about angles and arcs as rotations. Hopefully it'll be a little shorter than last night. All right, angles in standard position. Here's your definition. An angle is in standard position when its vertex is at the origin and its initial side is the non-negative ray of the x-axis. Okay, so let's take a look at this. Positive angles, you're going to go counterclockwise. So for positive angles, we're going to be going like this. For negative angles, we're going to be going like this. So draw the angle. Hold on. So to draw an angle of 60 degrees, we want the vertex at the origin, and its initial side is the non-negative ray of the x-axis, and the terminal side, where it ends, is at 60 degrees, or negative 280 or 150. So to draw an angle of 60 degrees, the initial side is right there. That's going to be the initial side of an angle in standard form for any of these. And then, you know, you have to remember, this is 90 up here, this is 180, this is 270, and then we're back to 360. So if we're going counterclockwise, it makes sense that 60 would be between 0 and 90, and these 90, 180, 270, 360 should make sense because it's in quarters. So it doesn't have to be exact, it just has to be in quadrant 1, 60 degrees. So that's how you would draw an angle of 60 degrees in standard form or standard position. Now negative 280, okay, is after negative 270. So for negative 280, we have the vertex. Here's the non-negative ray of the x-axis. Okay, that's the initial side. That's the positive ray of the x-axis. So we'd be going negative 90. Here's 0. Negative 180. I'm going clockwise now. Negative 270. And then negative 360. So you're just going the opposite direction. So negative 280 is over here, but you include this thing called a directional arrow so that, you know, somebody doesn't think this is also 60 degrees. So for 150, if this is 90 and that's 180, the initial side's always coming off the right-hand side of the x-axis. 150 would be right here. So that directional arrow is a must. You have to have that. Now for 810, it's going to look kind of like a spiral. So I take 810 and I subtract 360 from it. So I've got 450, and then I take and I subtract 360 from that. So it looks like it's made up of two 360s and a 90. So if I do 360, 360, and 90, and add those together, I get 810. So I want to do 360. I'm going counterclockwise. So there's a 360. There's the second 360, and then 90. So the initial side's here, and the ending side's there. And those directional, you need that spiral. So that is 810 degrees. Okay, for number 5, negative 100. So again, this is 0. Now we're at negative 90, negative 180. So negative 100 should be over here. Initial side there, directional arrow like that. One time they asked a question about this on the Regents exam, and that's what you had to do. 300, so here's 270. Now we're going counterclockwise because it's positive. So we're starting off here at 0, and I need to go into this quadrant, but I'm going to indicate the direction with my arrow, and that's the measure, 300. It just has to be in the right quadrant. Quadrantal angles are angles whose terminal sides lie on one of the axes. Now the terminal side is where it ends. So the terminal side lie on one of the axes. So angles whose terminal sides lie on one of the axes. Okay, so for 90 degrees, these are quadrantals because it's on the positive side of the y-axis. So there's 90 degrees. And another one, negative 180. So initial side, terminal side, directional arrow, label. Going nowhere, so 0. 270, initial side, terminal side, directional arrow, label. Okay, so negative 450, I'm going to see how many 360s are in that. So 90. So negative 450 is made up of negative 90 and negative 360. So I need to go negative 360 and then, oops, I did that wrong. I did counterclockwise. I want to go clockwise because it's a negative angle. So we're going to go negative 360 and then an additional negative 90. So terminal side is there, initial side, so that's negative 450. And then negative 90, we have initial side, terminal side, directional arrow, label. Okay, coterminal angles are angles that share the same initial and terminal sides. So it's angles in standard position that share the same initial and terminal sides. So find the smallest positive and the largest negative. So the largest negative angles would be the ones closest to 0, and the smallest positive would also be the ones closest to 0. So for 225, what I do is I draw it. So there it is. There's 225. And I need an angle to have the same initial and terminal side. So if I draw it in a clockwise motion, it has the same initial and terminal side. So to find that value, I just did 360 minus 225. So I get 135. But because I'm going in a clockwise direction, my answer is negative 135 for one of the answers. So that's the largest negative. Now to find another angle that is got the same beginning and ending. Alright, so I'll redraw it. So here's my 225. I'm going to need to find the smallest positive. So you can't say 225 is coterminal to itself. So you should have it start at the same spot. Okay. And then have it go 360 and then that additional 225. So if you think about it, that angle will have the same beginning and end. So it's a coterminal angle. To find out what it is, I take 225 plus 360. I believe there might be a formula in your textbook. I just draw them. I am a visual person, so I like to draw them. And then it does have the same initial and terminal side. Now for 540, to draw that, I take 540 and I subtract 360. So that looks like it's 180. So for 540, here's my beginning. And so 540 is made up of 360 plus 180. So if I take now and I go 360 and then 180, there's my 540. Now if I want to find the smallest negative, I should be able to just go like that. I mean the largest negative, I should be able to go like that. And that's just a halfway the other direction, so that's negative 180. And I'd get that by taking 360 minus 180. Now, to find the one that is the smallest positive, so I've got 360, I think I went too far there. I know I did. Got a little crazy with my spiral. Let's try that again. Okay, so 360 and 180. So there's my 540. Now, if I just want to say this angle, that has the same initial and terminal side as the 540. So this 180 would be my smallest positive angle coterminal. So my answers are negative 180 and 180. The first one, it was negative 135 and 585. For negative 70, draw it. So there's the initial and terminal. So there's the negative 70. So if I meet it the other way around, that has the same initial and terminal side. So the whole thing creates a circle of 360. So to me, this angle would be found by doing 360 minus 70. So 290 is the answer for the smallest positive. And then if I'm looking for the largest negative, here's my negative 70. If I were to go 360 and then an additional 70, that has the same initial and terminal side. So to find that value, I would take negative 70 plus negative 360. And that gives me negative 430. So I have a smallest positive and a largest negative. There's no other negative closer to 0 that has the same initial and terminal side to negative 70. All right, negative 600. So for negative 600, I'm going to find out what that's made up of. So I'm going to take 600 minus 360. And I get 240. So negative 600 is made up of negative 240 plus negative 360. So I have to draw that. I have to go negative 360. And then this is negative, so that's 0. That's negative 90. That's negative 180. So negative 240 would place me right there. So there's negative 600. Got my initial and my terminal. So if I just start over here and meet it, I've got my smallest positive. So if you think about it, this piece right here was already figured out was negative 240, or just positive 240 in terms of its, you know, the direction is negative, but it's actually 240 degrees rotation. So to find what meets that, I would just take 360 minus 240, and that is equal to 120. So one of the angles coterminal here is 120. The next one to do negative 600. Again, remember we went negative 240 and negative 360, so I'm going to go negative 360 and then negative 240. There's my negative 600. If I want to find the negative angle that goes coterminally to that, I should be able to just go partly around, and I think I already know that piece is negative 240 from the previous part of the example. Number 5, for 30 degrees, put that in quadrant 1. There's the directional arrow, 30 degrees. So to find the coterminal, meet it the other way around. The negative, so now I'm going to do 360 minus 30. And plop a negative in front because we went in a clockwise direction. Has the same initial and terminal side. And then to find the other one, if I were to take and go 360 and then 30, that would also have the same beginning and ending sides. So for this one, I would do 360 plus 30. So those are my two answers for that. And then for 120, initial, terminal, there's 120. To find the coterminal, meet it the other direction. I'm going to do 360 minus 120. But I have to do negative because it's going in a clockwise direction. So the answer is negative 240. And then one more, if I do 120, and then I want to find a smallest positive, then I have to go 360 more than 120. So I would now do 360 plus 120. And I'm going counterclockwise, so it remains positive 480. And that, I believe, concludes it. Yay, shorter.